for June 18th and at 6 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Here.
Kevin Zorda.
Here.
Virginia Higley. Here. Kelly Hemler.
Here.
Dylan Bridge, absent. Nancy Martin.
Here.
Ann Collins, absent. Chris Renaud.
Here.
Ken Kaufman.
Here.
Okay, fire evacuation. In the event of a fire or emergency, you can exit the door through the back of the room and down the stairs we just came in. And away from the building, obviously. Public communications and petitions. There's nobody here. Let's skip that. Correspondence, I have none. Minutes of preceding meetings for May 21st.
So moved. Oh, go for it.
I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May 7th, 2024.
Second.
Get a first and a second. Any discussion? Just check my notes here. No? Okay, roll call.
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Yes?
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley. Yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Nancy Martin.
Yes.
5 in favor, motion passes. Let's see, we do have a town attorney report dated May 31st, 2024 regarding current litigations. We have no continued public hearings, no new public hearings, no old business, so new business is XIW number 2402, proposed tax amendment to add wording to section 12 for authorized agent approvals, town of Enfield, applicant owner, and we'll have to talk about a public hearing on that. I did give everybody the changes and stuff with red, so you could see, because they weren't showing red, which is fine. And then I did give us a timeline for what we have to do. So thank you, Georgie. She sent the information to DEEP on June 11th. So today we have to schedule a public hearing. After the they need a 35-day review requirement from DEEP. So we'll have to schedule a public hearing after the 35-day review, which would be the earliest, would be July 16th.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to open, close, and act upon the hearing on the changes on the 16th, because we do not meet in August. If we don't act upon it on July 16th, then we have to withdraw our application and start again.
Or you could have a special meeting in August.
Or have a special
which
meeting in
I
August.
Don't recommend.
Which, you know, that's okay.
And then just real quick,
And,
Got it.
yeah.
did you see any alternates today?
No, I didn't.
No alternates seated?
Yeah. We're not going to vote, so.
Okay, because
I could see Chris. We'll see
might as
Chris.
well.
Might as well. We'll see
To be
Chris.
official.
To be official.
Okay.
We'll see Chris. Okay, Georgia, you want to?
you pretty much summed it up
anything
for me. It should have been printed out in color, and I apologize that
Oh,
it
that's
wasn't. But yeah, we notified the DEEP commissioner on the 11th, so if all goes well, we probably won't hear back from them. And then we're going to stamp the proposed text amendment with the clerk's office tomorrow. I'll do a quick memo about the application, and then the wording is up for you to edit, change how you see fit. I'll be providing some more examples of some things we've been seeing through the building permit process in my memo, and I hope on July 16th we'll have a favorable public hearing.
Thanks. So does anybody have any comments to my left or right?
None.
Okay, so I did. On the proposed 12.1, so it says the second line is the agency may delegate to its duly authorized agent the authority to approve or extend a license for an activity that is not located in a wetland or watercourse. It's the second line there, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure how that works. And then down a few lines right after the red, depending on the activity type,
Well,
request.
I'm sorry, that shouldn't have been in red. That's already there.
No, that is not located in the wetland? Yeah, that's not there, but I'm wondering,
So there's a distance that comes into play. It's about 50 feet from any wetland that's in a different section, which I'll include in my memo. But having the text amendment for the certain residential projects built prior to 1972 kind of just
Will that overlay that?
yeah.
Okay, that's what I was worried about.
Yeah, and it's weird how this works because like most of our subdivisions, the wetlands there are no longer functioning.
Right.
So this 12.1 is based on the activity having no greater than a minimal impact on any wetlands or watercourses. However, sometimes some projects may have a little bit of an impact, but it really depends on what that wetland is and where this subdivision is located. So by having just that basic sentence about certain properties built prior to 1972, it kind of gives all those properties like a green light that they don't have to stop and do the agent approval application. Like you have one on your agenda tonight for a above ground pool.
Yeah.
With this text amendment, you wouldn't even see it.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. So it says in red then on 12.1, depending on the activity type, requests for such approval shall be either authorized through the building permit process or be made on a form. Is that form or application form?
That's the agent approval application form.
Okay, I just wanted to verify
Will
that.
that be done all the time?
Yeah, will that be done all the time? That's a question, Jordan.
What'd you say?
Will the form be done all the time?
In other words, will they fill out an agent approval form so that we can track the property?
No, that will be done through the building permit process.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it says or be made on a form
Yeah.
provided by the agency. So is that form our application form?
Typically, it's the agent approval application form, but having this sentence allows us to just bypass that and do it through the building permit, so residential homeowners don't have to wait 2 weeks and the appeal period, they don't have to file their permit, they could just go right through the building permit process.
Right, but they'll fill out the form for you to approve.
They don't have to fill it out. So they apply through the building permit process, and then because the materials that the building, and I'll explain all this in the memo, but materials that the building department requires are all the materials I need, basically, that we would see typically during the application.
Well,
So it's
how-
just like, it's because of our new online permitting system, and I'll explain it more when we get
But
to
how
the
do we know
public
it's in
hearing.
wetlands?
The GIS is how we know. And then the plot plans that the homeowners upload have the GIS layer on them.
Does the public have access to the building department
They
permit?
should. I don't know how that works, but they have a public kiosk.
Because,
Well, you can look up any permit in Enfield on OpenGov.
Right.
on what?
On OpenGov. That's the permit name.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
So the building department permits are on that.
Yeah. All of our permits are planning and zoning, ZBA, wetlands, all of them.
Well, I guess the question is, how do you know that it was in one of these areas that we're allowing it to go
That's where you
through?
use the GIS, and when you look at the property, the
So that
property
it doesn't
card
have
will
to be
pop up,
redone.
Right.
and it will tell you the year that it was built.
Okay. Looks like you want to say something. He's thinking.
Just, it's a weird situation with applications, and this came up in Kakiewicz where we really shouldn't be, what I understood from Kakiewicz, that we can't really require an application for something that doesn't require an application.
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it requires an approval from her.
Well,
Well, getting.
I recommend waiting until I do my memo because
Yeah.
there's so much behind it. I
Yeah,
cannot
absolutely.
explain it. It was part of the reason why I was sitting on this for so long because it's very confusing and it makes no sense.
Okay.
Let's
So-
ask the attorney. Maybe he can figure it out.
By having this
There you
text
go.
amendment, it just makes it easier for staff and it makes it easier for the public residents. So like, for example, when Miss Martin came in for her pool a couple years ago, if this amendment was in place, she wouldn't have had to go before you for a permit for a
Right.
pool. So,
But I mean, how do you know? How are you going to know to verify that she doesn't have a brook in her backyard?
well, that's part of the review process. We
Right.
go out and check everything
Oh,
for the
okay.
building
Okay.
permit. Yeah, so
Okay.
our regulations are not up to date with what staff does in the office for the building department, engineering, and our office. They're very outdated. It's from a time where we didn't really have that digital era of online permits. But now that things have changed so much and things are so much easier to look up, there's a quicker way to do the review process than just having them wait 14 days to come in for a permit on an activity that has no significant impact in a historic wetland area.
Right, okay. Okay, so then that leads me to the next one, 12.2, the back page. So projects on residential properties built prior to 1972. I'd like to change that. I think it should be more like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but like a 20-year period or something. If your house is 20 years old or older, then you shouldn't have to come before us.
Right.
Because there's houses built in 1986, in the 80s and 90s that are on historical wetlands,
Yeah,
but they're not wetlands anymore. So I wouldn't want to have to eliminate them just because they were built in 80s and 90s.
That was going to be
And as
part of my memo that, because I know we recently talked about having it originally say with the Clean Water Act, but I came across a couple of those as well during the building permit process where the houses were built in like 1986, 1992, but they were built on top of wetlands where
Right.
that subdivision should have hypothetically come before you for an approval.
Right. But if a person wants a pool now, we shouldn't say, well, now you got to come
Yeah.
as a wetland permit just because your house was built in 1990.
So that is something
know?
that you'll be able to change. You can change that as we go through the public hearing process, and I don't see why that would be detrimental to the
I
application.
thought we were going to go through this today and come up with our wording, so then when we do have the public hearing, we have our sort of draft of what we.
Well, you
final.
have to open the public hearing first because this text amendment is what Deep got. So anything you edit, I'm going to have to resend and withdraw. So what you do during the public hearing basically is for the record, and then I email that back to Deep after, which is acceptable.
Okay,
We can come up with our ideas
Yes.
ahead of time.
okay.
Yeah.
So those are a couple I'd like to
Yep.
change.
And I don't know if it's possible to quantify minimal impact.
Yeah, how do you?
We'll play around with it. Honestly, that whole chapter could use some revision, but maybe we'll just handle it bit by bit, and we'll see what the agency comes up with, and hopefully we'll come up with a better method than what we have today.
Yeah, it is tough on minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So every building permit that comes through, you have a checklist and you check anyways to make sure.
Yeah, so any permit, it's vice versa for all departments, which is why we have OpenGov. Any wetlands permits, we tag in engineering and building. Any building permits, zoning gets tagged in. I get tagged in for wetlands. We have a historic district tag. We have engineering, water pollution control, traffic, and fire. So that's kind of the whole point of OpenGov, is that it just makes it easier for all of the Enfield's interdepartments to work together on a simple permit than having them all go separately for individual permits.
So you're looking at everything.
Yes, we
You
look at
don't- You
everything.
don't just say, okay, it's.
No, we look at the deed, make sure it was signed, the current property owner is correct. We look at the characteristics of the land, what zone it's in, what the size is, if there's not lot coverage, what the location and setbacks are. We're looking at the use, we're looking at the history, we're looking at the wetlands and the aquifer protection stuff that come into play, any historic district architectural aspects that come into play, everything. It's a full review.
Okay. So Nancy couldn't come in and just fool us.
Having gone through the process, I appreciate this very much, and
Yeah.
for the people of Enfield
Yeah.
to
Yeah, definitely.
get through this process
I agree with
much
you.
easier.
It's tricky to word it, but I'm confident we can find a better way.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
So that was my couple points.
Yeah, excellent.
Anybody else have any questions, concerns? No? So I guess what we need to do is set a public hearing.
She had suggested this.
So the
Yeah.
the public hearing would have to be July 16th.
Yeah, so I need a motion.
Yeah. I will make a motion that we set the public hearing for the text amendment to be on July 16th, 2024.
Second.
Who seconded it?
You can put Ginny.
Jenny? Okay. Any discussion? No. And it's a 6 PM meeting.
Yep.
Just a reminder. Roll call?
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Himmler.
Yes.
Nancy Martin.
Yes.
Chris Renaud.
Yes.
6 in favor, motion passes. So next, enforcement reports?
I have nothing to report. However, I did get a response from Deep. They seem to be concerned more about the air quality than the water quality. So we are going to move forward with a cease and desist order on the zoning side to get fines implemented.
Thanks. Staff?
And just for the record, that's for Yankee Casting.
Yep. Yep, I emailed the CEO twice, and there's been no response. So and I have no updates since they've come in before you, and we're a little bit, we want to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Staff report?
Nothing to report. Wait, I have something actually.
Forgot.
And I think now I'm allowed to announce it. We are hiring a new assistant town planner.
Oh, yeah.
And he will be starting hopefully on July 8th, should he conclude all his background checks and prereqs. And hopefully you will see him around July 16th for the next, for the public hearing and everything like that.
Okay,
Excellent.
perfect. Thanks.
Congratulations, getting some help.
It took long enough.
Applications to be received, AAA 138 to 168, Post Office Road, agent approval request for an above-ground pool with the regulated area. Alyssa and Joseph Fredette, applicant's owner, map 53, lot 288, R33. IW 704, 10-Wheeler Drive, application to construct a deck within the upland review area. Daniel Smith, owner applicant, map 80, lot 165, R33 zone, LOD. IW 705, 1297 Enfield Street, wetland application to allow housing for the elderly within regulated area. Felician Sisters of North America Real Estate Trust, owner applicant, map 46, lot 2, HR 33. IW 706, 45 Kennedy Drive, wetland application to replace the stormwater drainage system. Drainage Pros applicant Greg Winnock, owner, map 103, lot 29, R44.
So once the new regulation gets approved, most of these won't come before us, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, 45 Kennedy is a little bit different. They want to drain directly into a
Yeah.
stream, but like 168, you
Yep.
wouldn't see
Yeah.
unless need to, and
Yep.
most likely 10-wheeler as well.
That's a good thing.
So it makes it easier on the agency, and it makes it easier for staff.
It makes it easier for the residents.
Yeah, definitely for the residents. So
Yeah. So I just wanted to say, 705, 1297 Enfield Street. I was looking over the site plans and application and that. It looks like there's,
it's very small.
it's very small. It's really upland review area. It's not,
Yeah.
so I don't think we should have to have a public hearing
No.
because there's no large impact to it, no disturb.
It's going to be a public hearing of planning and zoning, but
Right.
the wetlands impact is pretty small.
Yeah.
And when we were doing our review, there weren't any significant impacts from an initial standpoint of review.
Right, right. So I don't think we need to have a public hearing.
No.
That was my thought. Okay, perfect. With that being said, so miscellaneous. Nancy?
Yes. First of all, I just want to say that, thank you all. This is my last meeting. My commission is up as of this evening. I will not be renewing.
You have until June 30th. What are you talking about?
Sorry, till June 30th.
5 special meetings.
First, I just want to thank you, Georgie, and the staff for your expertise. I appreciate all your assistance and guidance throughout the time that I've been here. And to you, Chairwoman Corbin-Sabinski, thank you very much for leading us, and sometimes with difficult applications, which has been a learning process for me. And all of you who continue to volunteer for this commission and all of the commissions in Enfield, preparing, reviewing, making decisions that aren't always easy, and I appreciate all your efforts on behalf of the people of Enfield, so thank you very much.
We will miss you.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for joining us for the last couple of years and working with us, and it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you. I may be back someday, but
That'd be fine.
yeah,
That'd be
I mean, work
perfect.
takes precedence right now, and
Yeah.
and home life, so I have to focus on that. And
Yeah.
but down the road, who knows?
Yeah, anytime
I
you
may
want
pop up back.
help us out, let us know.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Motion?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
So, Ginny, 6:19, so Ginny.
favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, we're adjourned, and it's
Who's
6:19.
going to say no?
Close.